Okay, hey guys, this is Alex. We're doing a quick lap guide of Montreal in the Porsche GT3 Cup Car. I'll do it both in an outside view and a cockpit view. The big thing here I'm going to be referring to are my input graphics here, my steering input, my brakes, and my throttle application. So just as a little intro, this first corner here, I'm going to be getting to my threshold brake point. In this car, I found that to be about 65%. You want to get there and get the car stopped as quickly as you can, then unloading the front end to allow the car to roll in with a lot of speed, hitting the first apex. You want to make sure you avoid the second apex so that you can be getting the power down for a good exit. You see my threshold brake there, coming off the brake as I turn in. Touch the first apex, don't touch the second, hard on power here. So the hardest thing about this next little section is braking for turn one. You want to get the car stopped as quickly as you can, but with the curve, it's very easy to lock up. I enter here in the middle of the track. This is so that I can get the car pointed over to the right and I can straighten my hands before I get on brakes. Now with a straight car, notice my perfectly straight hands here. I'll jump on the brake pedal at this first asphalt as my brake reference. It's threshold braking once again, and watch the little graphic. You'll be able to see that I'm coming off the brake just momentarily before I turn in, while still keeping a finesse to it with the trail brake. This allows you to brake nice and deep and carry a lot of speed in, but really force the car to rotate as you're entering the corner to still get down to the apex. Here I just missed this first apex, which spits me out a little bit wide, lost a tenth or two there. So the main focus here though is I've carried in quite a bit of speed to this next corner so that I'm still very gently on the brake up to about this point. You can see my brake lights still on here. So that's allowing the car to rotate through the corner. It's the same thing as what I just previously talked about. The only difference here is that the exit is very difficult with an increasing radius where you're still turning as you're trying to put the power down. So because of that, you want to focus on getting the car as pointed as you possibly can in the direction of the exit so that you can minimize your steering and be more aggressive on power. So you'll notice as soon as I'm trying to get to full power, my hands have straightened up quite a bit already. Notice that the car is already quite pointed, which is allowing me to do so. This allows me to get a very strong exit really early on full throttle, pulling towards this next corner where I use the 2 sign right here as my brake reference. At this brake reference, it's a good starting point. You might want to start a few meters before it, but I get straight back to my threshold braking. I'm coming off the brakes once again to turn in. I use a lot of apex curbs at both the right-hander and left-hander. They're rather flat, so you can get away with a lot. Again, same thing here. You want to really be accelerating with as straight hands as possible. That'll minimize exit oversteer and give you very good exit speed. For this next really fast right-hander, I turn in flat out. I do this to keep the rear end nice and stable and under me. With this, it's very predictable and the turn in isn't as snappy. As soon as I turn in and the car is starting to set, I then lift and just a touch of brake. The amount of brake that you use here will vary and it's all based on feel. The purpose of that brake is not so much to slow the car down, but to get weight on the front end to start rotation in the car. Once that rotation has started, because the nose is pointed much more where I want to go, I'm able to be much more aggressive on throttle, actually getting to the point of steering the car with throttle. So I balance the car with throttle through here, accelerating the whole way through, gaining time. Then the main focus, bring the car straight back over to the right-hand side. Once again, threshold brake. This is a driver preference. You can hold third or you can go down to second. I personally prefer to go to second because it enables me to get the car in nice and tight on this left side apex curb to exit to the left side of the track. This opens up this next right-hander where I short shift to third. Notice how in the slowest section of the corner, right here near this curbing, I use the transition from left to right to try and invoke rotation in the car. By doing so and by rotating the car really nice and early, I'm able to exit with the car already pointed more towards my exit so that I can be much more aggressive on throttle without waiting for the car to turn. So you'll notice right there, I got rotation and look how pointed the car is. I'm already pointed on the exit. I'm already full throttle. I have a little bit of a slide going on, but it's because I'm driving right at the limit there. So accelerating really strong out of this corner, getting a good run onto the next. This is a good area where you can use reference points for your upshifts to determine how good or bad your previous exit was. So approaching this next corner here, I have the 3 signboard as my brake reference, and it's once again straight to your threshold braking. You'll notice it's really important to keep the car all the way on the left-hand side and really make most of the 90-degree right-hander so that your car is in a position to accelerate through the left-hander that follows. A good exit out of that corner will be much more important than pushing the entry to the first right-hander. Use a little bit of curb in the right-hander, but avoid the curb on the left-hand apex, as you want to be accelerating as quickly as possible with a stable car. Exit all the way to the wall and accelerate down to the hairpin. Now the hairpin, this is going to be our hardest brake zone. So I try and get my hands as straight as possible. I use this first bit of asphalt as my brake reference. I can then vary by 6 inches or a foot, depending on how the car feels, if my tires are going off or if I'm getting lower fuel. So threshold brake all the way until you're thinking about turning in. If you're able to bleed off brake long before you're thinking about turning in, it means that you can brake deeper. So threshold brake all the way, and then as soon as you're starting to think of turning, you're coming off the brake. Watch my inputs closely here. Actually, on this lap, I brake slightly late, so I delay my turn in. That's because if I'm still having a brake, I know that I need to keep my hands straight. Only once I have enough speed off, I'm then able to bleed off the brake a little bit and turn in. The trail braking to the apex helps the car rotate through the corner, having carried more entry speed the whole way in. Now with a car that's more pointed right at this point, with a car much more pointed, I'm able to be much more aggressive on power here while unwinding my hands. Notice here, as soon as I start to go to full throttle, my hands unwind. That keeps the rear end very stable and gives me confidence while accelerating and actually preserving tires, because you're really limiting how much slip you're putting into the tires. So approaching this last chicane, I use the Dodge bridge as my brake marker. Again, threshold brake. And then coming off the brake pedal, touching the first curb, not using the second, and getting a good exit out of Champions Corner all the way out to the wall. We'll do a lap on board now where I won't speak at all, and hopefully you can take some things from this lap guide. My entry to turn 1 is much better on this lap, so watch here with the curbing. That's what you want to go for. Good setup for 2. Okay, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully this helps. See ya.